Welcome, everyone. Today we're going to talk about how CaseQube helps law firms streamline billing with smart rate setups. From timekeepers to invoices, we'll see how everything connects in one efficient workflow. The first step is setting up timekeepers. These are your attorneys, paralegals, or staff who record billable hours. Each timekeeper can have their own default rate. To make billing more consistent, you can also create rate groups. Think of them as bundles, for example, a litigation team group versus an immigration team group. This way, billing is standardized across teams instead of being managed individually. Once groups are in place, we can apply overrides at the client or global level. This is where flexibility comes in. For example, a preferred client may get a discount while a high-stakes matter might have premium rates. The hierarchy, global client then matter, ensures pricing is competitive yet profitable. Now let's look at billing in action. First, a time entry. The system automatically applies the right rate based on the setup we've defined. Next, we add expenses. Things like filing fees or travel. These can be billed separately or bundled into the invoice. Finally, when we generate the bill, CaseQube consolidates everything, applies the correct rates, and produces a professional invoice ready to review. CaseQube supports multiple billing structures. First is the traditional hourly billing, where time entries are multiplied by the rates, but not all matters are billed hourly. Many firms use flat fee billing, where a client pays a single agreed fee, like $5,000 for a litigation stage. You can still track hours internally, but the invoice remains fixed for predictability. This flexibility ensures that firms can adapt to client preferences while maintaining strong financial oversight. So to recap, CaseQube allows you to set up timekeepers, organize them into groups, apply client or global level overrides, and generate invoices seamlessly. Whether it's hourly, flat fee, or a mix, CaseQube ensures accuracy, efficiency, and client transparency. Now let's go in and I will show you how CaseQube works on Salesforce. So now we're in our matter management system, or CaseQube, in Salesforce. And today, specifically, I'm going to discuss hourly rate and flat fee work in CaseQube and how rate management works in CaseQube. So let's go ahead and go straight into the billing setup. So this is our billing setup or admin setup screen where you can define timekeepers, define rates, and rate groups. So you can see that on the top here, timekeepers, rates, and rate groups. Let's go ahead and create a new timekeeper. So we can go to the top right and click new. First, we have the timekeeper name. Timekeeper can be an internal user or anyone with logged in access, but external users can also be timekeepers as well. So timekeepers can define any user regardless of whether they have a license or not. So let's put a new name. Let's say demo 999. And the next field is cost. Cost is what the cost is or what the rate is. I'm going to leave that alone right now. And the next field is entity. Entity is a way where we can connect it to the internal user. When the internal user is logged in, it will pick up all the rates and all the info. And the next rate is general ledger. This can link the timekeeper with chart of accounts item. Well, this is great because a lot of law firms that want to run WIP or AR or revenue, they can look into it by each attorney. We can put these into the balance sheet and you can tag it with the GL. So I'm going to leave those fields alone for now and I'm going to click save just to create a new timekeeper. So this led me to this screen. And here we can see the details of the timekeeper that I just created. So now we can click on the tab, the rates tab, and here I can click a new rate. So let's go ahead and create a new rate. So here, let me just put a start date in, let's say today, and I'm going to put the end date, which is optional. So you don't have to put it, or you can put it, but you don't have to put it. So here, dates give you the ability to see the history of the rates, and if you want to process any timekeeping in those time frames, so it's going to pick up those rates between those dates, and which is why dates are important when we define rates. So I'm gonna end it. Let's put the end of the month. So the next field is the name of the timekeeper, which it just picked up as demo 99 because that was the timekeeper that we just defined. And the next field is role, which is the job function that you are performing. So this is the ability to connect with the timekeeper when you define the rate. For example, principal attorney will have a different rate than a working attorney or a different rate than a working manager on the same matter. So I'm going to leave that alone right now. And rate group I will discuss later. And rate amount is just the rate amount. So this can be, so I'm going to say, let's say $100. And the rate type can be hourly, flat fee, cost, or fixed. Right now, I'm going to keep it as hourly. So let's confirm this rate entry. And I just created a rate. I talked about timekeepers. I talked about rates. Now I'm going to click on rate groups and talk about rate groups. So rate groups are a way for multiple roles or multiple rates to come together. And this makes sure that everything is consistent in the rate management. So this could mean divorce law, family law. This will define the rate and can be changed going forward as well. So let's go ahead and create a new rate group. So this, let's put the name as, let's just say divorce law. And let's put the start date as today. And let's put the end date as the end of the month. And let's put the status as active. So here there are different rows. And we can define each row by timekeeper or by role. I'm going to define this by timekeeper and the next row as principal attorney. So I just define these by two different things. And I'll put the amount in as $500 here and $700 here. So I also have the rate types defined as hourly. And I just saved it. And now that was the basic setup of timekeeper, rate, and rate group. So now that we set this up in billing setup, now let's go back into CaseQube, or basically our matter management, and we do this just like we got into billing setup by clicking on the 9 dots and clicking CaseQube and going into the CaseQube app. Now let's go into matters and let's click on a sample matter. From here, we can go into billing details and let's go into billing settings. So when converted to a matter, the law firm is ready to work on it. So now we're ready to work on it. Now what we can do here is we can define the rate. Basically, what you define at the global level is global rate. And this specific matter may have specific client rates that you negotiated with the customer. So we can also set a client rate. This person could be in different multiple matters, such as DUI or domestic violence. So you can define at the matter rate as well. So the hierarchy basically goes global rates gets overridden by client rate, which gets overridden by matter rate. So let's go ahead and add a rate group. So I'm going to say divorce law. And this is going to copy everything from that rate group. So let's go ahead and add that rate. Now let's go ahead and define a new matter rate. Let's call the timekeeper the same name, Demo99. And let's call the rate amount $765. And let's call the start date September 18th. And let's leave the end date alone. And let's confirm the entry. We just created the new matter rate. And let's go into matter billing. And let's create a new time entry. So we click on the bottom, there's a plus button at the bottom, and we click new time entry. And here, we'll put the date as the same as today. And let's say this, let's call it, this is a manual entry. So this is just one way to create a time entry, which is manually. So what this did is this picked up the logged in user, the timekeeper, because I'm an admin and it's giving me other options as well. If I was not an admin, it wouldn't give me the option. So I have the option to select a different timekeeper, but as of now, it's this timekeeper. I'm going to put the time in. I'm going to say 2 hours, and I'm going to put the client. I'm going to select the rate because without the rate, it will throw an error. So a rate is essential to the time entry, and client is already set and it's billable, and I'm going to confirm the time entry. So now I'm going to show you the 2 other ways to create a time entry, which is on the bottom, the timer and the multi-timer. So let's go on the single timer. Let's click play. So you click play, and let's just say it's going on in the background, and let's say it's been some time, so we can click stop. And we can create the same project or the same matter that we were working on and say this is from single timer. And let's go down and select the same date and click the duration. You can change this. Select the same timekeeper and rate and the same client name and create it as billable or non-billable. We're going to keep it as billable and we're going to confirm the time entry. So that just created a single timer entry. And so what I showed there before was that the rates were with the role were assigned. And the same thing goes with the multi-timer. The use case for the multi-timer would be like, let's say an on-call with another client or while working on a document. And basically we can pause or stop. Let's click on multi-timer and let's create a new multi-timer. And here we just, at the bottom, we created a multi-timer. We can click stop. So here we can create select the same matter that we were working on. And we can say the description as, instead of demo 99, we can say this is coming from multi-timer. The date, the duration, let's say 1 hour, the timekeeper, and it picks up the rate, which is important, and the client name, and it's billable. Let's confirm time entry. And that just created the record. Now let's refresh. So here we created 3 entries. You can see on the bottom, the manual rate, the single timer, and the multi-timer. And you can see the different rates and the different hours being billed. Now let's go ahead and click a different matter. Go back to matters and click a different matter. Just so I can show how to create the fee. So here we click on the bottom again, and now I'm going to show you how to click the fee entry, create a fee entry. Here, I can create a flat fee or a fixed fee, and for now I'm going to create a flat fee. I'm going to say $5,000, and I'm going to create it as billable and the client as the same, and I'm going to confirm the fee entry. And what this happened here is this created a fee entry and this created an expense entry and a time entry. And what I can do here is I can select what I created and then I can select the plus button again and create a pre-bill. And once I do this, this will prompt me to the screen. Once I create this pre-bill, I can see the invoice date, the due date, and let's just say the 19th, which is tomorrow. And I can say the start date as, so this is the time period in which we want to build a customer for. So I'm going to say today to next week. And let's say this is flat fee. And here I can skip the pre-bill approval process or include it, and or include the non-billable time and expense with zero balance, and I can confirm the pre-bill. And here we can see the preview bill, and I'm going to say the description. Sample fee tree. And I'm going to go ahead and create the pre-bill. And this is creating it. And that just created the record successfully. So if we go into our pre-bills, we can click on the pre-bill name that we just created. And here we can see the bill and I can preview it and generate the PDF. Now, let me go back. What I showed you before, the WIP or the work in progress screen, and this is also the screen that I can access on the billing setup that where we were before. So let's go back to the billing setup. So here there's a tab at the top also with the timekeepers rates and rate groups called work in progress. So this is showing all the matters which have time or expenses not billed yet grouped by client. So here at the right, we can have a filter and we can filter it by month. We can filter it by project or matter. We can filter it by timekeeper, primary grouping, which can be grouped by client, project, date, or timekeeper, basically what I said. Let's actually go ahead and filter that. And let's filter it by September month and search it. So the only reason I filtered it is because if there are more than 200 matters, the pre-bill will be submitted as a batch. But once I condense the matters, I can create a pre-bill more efficiently. So I can do the exact same thing here. what I did before, I created a pre-bill. And here I can see the time, expense, and fees. So here there are only time entries that I created from before, the time entries, the timer entries, the multi-timer, the manual timer. So let's go ahead and create that. And let's create a pre-bill again. And this brings me to the exact same screen that was what I just showed you. So let's go ahead and do it again. And let's confirm the bill. Here, this brings us to the preview bill screen again. So here I can update the description, the billable hours, and the billable rate. The billable hours, if changed, the actual original hours will be logged always. So if the billing team changes these hours, the original time entries will always show these. So the productivity report will always show the comparison between these hours, so you can round up or down the hours. And let's go ahead and create the pre-bill. So that just created the records successfully. And that was basically the overview of how rates and rate groups and timekeepers work in CaseQube.